Shay, Ma'at Hotep. This is The Truth May Hurt. My name is Raymond Witcher, and I am your host. I would like to say Grand Rising to everyone, and welcome back. Welcome back from the dreams. Welcome back from the rest that the human body needs, but the spirit keeps rolling. So we're blessed to be back. Okay, and the reason we say welcome back rather than good morning is because morning is for the dead. It is something that the slave masters and the colonizers would say to the slaves, knowing that they had been crying all night, that they had been miserable all night. So I'm breaking away from good morning because I'm not mourning anymore. I'm not in a state of mourning. My mental consciousness, I'm woke. I'm out of that nightmare. So grand rising to everyone and welcome back, especially to The Truth May Hurt. I would like to, we picked up 10 new subscribers in about 17 days. So welcome to all the new subscribers. Thanks for joining and becoming a part of the Truth May Hurt family. I'm going to show you things here that you probably haven't seen, you probably haven't heard. All I'm asking people to do is a couple of things. One, take all of that fear and everything that has controlled us, take that out, throw it out, and let's look at everything again. Let's look at everything comprehensively, and let's take our time and just look at it. Ask some simple questions, okay? And make rational decisions on what we're going to do, what we need to do. I'm titling this video, "It is impossible to believe something and know it at the same time." I would rather know than believe, okay? Believing has a lot of faults, okay? It has no evidence. So the things that I'm going to show you are related to getting out of a belief system to a knowing system. So I'm going to show you some things that have been very misleading that we have accepted, that I can show you objective evidence that they copied from our Egyptian mythology and turned it into their religion: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The three Abrahamic faiths are all based on the same philosophy. Everybody is a descendant of Abraham, and depending on which descendant of Abraham you are, you're God's chosen people. To this God, Yahweh, or this God, Jesus, or this God, Allah. Okay, so we're going to look at some things, and we're going to keep it going. Okay, let's go to Luke chapter 22, verse 10. He replied, "As you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house that he enters." Okay? Now, let's summarize this a little bit. Okay, to understand Luke 22, we're going to look at verses 8 through 13, which describes Jesus' instructions for preparing the Passover meal. Consider these key points. Okay, Jesus sends Peter and John to prepare the Passover. He instructs them to enter the city of Jerusalem. There they will meet a man carrying a jar of water. Follow him to the house he enters. Ask the owner for the guest room for the Passover. The owner shows them a large room, finished upper room. The disciples find everything as Jesus describes, and, they prepare the Passover. Okay? Okay, and as we read 8 through 13, Jesus sent Peter and John saying, "Go and make preparations for us to eat the Passover." "Where do you want us to prepare for it?" they asked. He replied, "As you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house he enters, and say to the owner of the house." The teacher asked, "Where is the guest room?" where I may eat the Passover with my disciples. So it's saying exactly what it said there, okay? Now, here's my point. I'm getting ready to show you some things that probably nobody has shown you, okay? This what I'm showing you now is from my first presentation, the foundation of racism. Okay, now when you tie this into astrology, let's see, how's the best way for me to do this? When I tie this into astrology, let me do it this way so I can keep you on point. Okay, the time of Jesus Christ came in at the end of the astrology sign of Aries. Aries is the ram. Okay, now the ram is the male. The ewe is the female. The offspring of the ram and the ewe is called the lamb, Lamb. Okay? So at the end of Aries, this is during the time that Moses came down for the 2,160-year span of the age of Aries. Because when Moses came down from the mountain, he was coming down at the end of the age of Taurus, the bull. He came in at the beginning of Aries, the ram, and killed 3,000 people. When he came down from the mountain, he still had the tablets in his hand, and they found the people building a golden calf, which represents the bull of the time of Taurus, and they're telling them, hey, you can't worship this God anymore. You got to worship this new God. Okay? This new God, Yahweh. This is where the Jewish religion came in. During this age of Moses with the 10 Commandments, he came down, God told him, kill all of them, and he killed 3,000 people with the tablet still in his hand, saying, thou shalt not kill. Okay, so during that time, for 2,160 years, was the reign of Yahweh, the 10 Commandments. When Pisces came in, what is the offspring of the ram and the ewe? It is the lamb. They call Jesus Christ the Lamb, don't they? Don't they call him the Lamb, which is the offspring of the age of the age of Aries. So Jesus comes in as the Lamb of God in the age of Aries. Now look, the reason I'm showing you this picture is because they stole it from us. This is the lamb that is carved in the Egyptian walls in Egypt. They copied it. Everything, and listen, if you do the research, most of the things that you find in the Bible are right on the walls in Egypt. They're either on the walls of the hieroglyphics in Egypt. They're in the ancient Sumerian Sumerian tablets, emerald tablets, Epic of Gilgamesh, the Dead Sea Scrolls. Listen, I had 2 pastors study with me for 6 weeks. In the first 6 weeks, all I did was show them stuff in the Bible. For the first 5 weeks, I only showed them things in the Bible. Then I said, listen, you got to look at some of my evidence outside of the Bible. When she read the story of Jesus Christ word for word in the Dead Sea Scrolls, she almost passed out. She said, but Mr. Raymond, this messes up everything I believe in. I said, well, what do you mean? She said, I've done everything I've done all of my life so that when I die, I can go to heaven with Jesus Christ. And what you're telling me is that he doesn't exist. And that messes up everything. If I don't have Jesus, what do I have? And I said, Miss Kathy, it depends on how much the truth is worth. Okay? If the truth is worth anything, then you have everything when you have the truth. If you'd rather believe in something that is not true and think you have everything, then that's a decision that you have to make. So I'm going to show you these things. Okay, but I'm trying to do it in a way that I can link it together. Okay. So the Lamb of God came in the age of Pisces. That Jesus is the Lamb of God, but as you can see, they copied it. This is 5,000 years older than this. This is carved in the walls in Egypt. This never, they did this, less than 2,000 years ago. And I'm gonna show you something. Okay, so this is how you have to tie astrology into this, because each astrology sign on each of the zodiacs lasts 2,160 years. And we just ended the age of Pisces during the age of Jesus. So here when Jesus said he fed 5,000 people with 2 loaves of bread and 2 fish, what are the signs for Pisces? The sign for Pisces are 2 fish. These are the 2 fish. This is a metaphor. This is an allegory. This is a story that they're telling. It's a puzzle. I mean, not a puzzle, it's a riddle. So, he didn't feed 5,000 people with 2 fish. He fed them the 2 fish out of the age of Pisces, which are lies and deception. The people were hungry, and he picked up the 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish and fed the people, and they were satisfied. Okay? You got to keep this in the context and the relationship with astrology. So if you do a search on this, the age of Pisces, the age of deception, come to here and open prophecy age, zodiac age, and end of times deception. It's a deception because I'm going to show you right here in Matthew 24:24. I think it's 20. Hold on, wait a minute. But it's the age of deception. Okay, we see that the end of times. It's not the end of times, it's the end of the age of the zodiac that lasts 2,160 years. Okay, go to Matthew chapter 28. Go to Matthew chapter 28 and read verse 20. Let's go down to the King James Version first, because this is the one that got everybody messed up. Teach them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you, and lo, I am with you always, even until the end of the world. Okay? Now go to the International Version up here at the top. Teach them to obey everything I have commanded you, and surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. It's talking about astrology. It's not historical. And these are the things that have us messed up. Okay? Jesus didn't feed anybody. He didn't feed 5,000 people with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. It's all about the age of Pisces. And here he's telling you, I'm only going to be with you until the end of the age. Until the end, to the very end of the age of what? Pisces. They got you. Okay, brothers and sisters, I got a minute. I need to edit this in. So when we're looking at the Bible, a good place to look at it is the Bible Hub, okay? So pull up Matthew 28:20, and let's just go down and see what it says. All right, International Version says, I will be with you until the very end of the age. New Living Translation, until the end of the age. English Standard, until the end of the age. Till the end of the age. End of the age. King James, until the end of the world. New King James, to the end of the age. New English Standard, one second, end of the age. NASB, the end of the age. So when you look at all of the Bibles, most of them say until the end of the age. Here's another one says the end of the world, end of the world, end of the world, end of time, end of the age, end of the age, end of the age, end of the world, end of the age. So it's astrology. It's not until the end of the world, it's until the end of the age. They got you again. Follow him into his house, right? What that's telling you is, this is the Passover. So Jesus knows he's getting ready to be crucified. He knows he's getting ready to die. He knows that the age of Pisces is over. And he's telling you to what? Follow the man, go to the next city, This is the next town, because you're coming out of Pisces going into Aquarius. And he says, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Here's the man carrying the jar of water into the age of Aquarius. What did he say? Follow him into his house. Okay? So now they just opened the New World Religion headquarters in Dubai, because it's a new age. Okay, and there it is. This is the new house that he's telling you to follow them into. The new One World Religion headquarters opens. What you need to know. Okay, the three Abrahamic faiths now say that, hey, this is the Abrahamic family house. You can read it. I put this in previous presentations, and I'm just trying to link you to it. That now that we're in the age of Aquarius, they know that the time that Jesus Christ's reign is over. He's been crucified. He's dead as far as the world religion goes. And if you come down through here and read it for yourself, they open the Abrahamic family house, which says that regardless of which one of these faiths you choose, there it is right here. Where is it? I just saw Abrahamic family house. You can read it, okay? They're ahead of you, because they're telling you that the age of Pisces is over. It's time for the new age, the new world religion, the new world order, and it's going to be in accordance with what we have just set up. Okay? Now, let me show you. This is the same thing. This is the upper room that they're telling you that has been prepared. This is the upper room. And here are the people in the upper room. So all of this ties together back to Africa, back to the hieroglyphics. Okay? That's what I want to show you. Now I'm going to show you something that is about as much concrete evidence as you can find that they stole it.
This temple called Karnak today, or Ipit-Asut, as our ancestors called it, going into this temple, as I said, these are temples or books in stone. The pylons are pages of history telling of our story. But as you go into the temple, you see the ram symbolized as Amen. That was the Zoot type as Amen. Now, we see Ursa Ma'at Ra, September Ra Ramesu Ramari Amen. A little practice, you can say it too. Here we see they call Ramsey from Ramesu. Is now under the ram, symbolizes Amen. 2,000 years ago, our ancestors worshipped Amen, and his symbol was the ram because the sun was in the constellation of Aries. I show this because let's go to Christian, taken from Kemet, when I showed you when the ram or the lamb in ancient Kemet, where the king became one with Amen, and the Zoot type was the ram. But let's go over 4,000 years ago to the tomb of Meruka. In the tomb of Meruka of the 6th dynasty, over 4,000 years ago, that existed thousands of years ago on your reliefs in the books in stone with the ram or the lamb around his head long before the Roman art.
Now, can you see it? I want you to see what I'm trying to tell you. Can you see it? Can you see the same things that this was copied from this?
There's a couple reliefs that I want to point out to you just to evoke some thought, because a lot of things I'm going to do is to evoke some thought, to give you some ideas, concepts that were here long before the Western world was even in existence. Meruka, Mastaba Meruka, and this is Teti. And Meruka is the Grand Vizier, or the Tajeti for Teti. All right? So that's very important. So I'm going to show you, the Tajeti. He's a Tajeti. That means Vizier for Teti. Okay. We'll leave an opening in case people have.
There it is again. You see it? You see the lamb, the ram?
I'll show you here.
That's the same thing.
As you see the priest with the lamb, a ram around his neck. But when we look at Leonardo da Vinci's artwork, you see Leonardo da Vinci's artwork with the lamb or ram around his neck. You can see where the origin of that came from. But this is carved in Merowica's tomb over 4,000 years ago. Long before Leonardo da Vinci's European image of the Jesus that you see right here. But even when you look at the European Jesus, let's go see where Leonardo da Vinci copied his European Jesus from. This is one of the oldest pictures I've found of Jesus, and it's in England, with the lamb or ram around his shoulders. As you see with this relief, goes back over 4,000 years ago, where you are now in Merowica's tomb, to see that this was an ancient spiritual concept. These were the priests who went to school for 40 years. So you see this as ancient African origin of the lamb and the ram that's equated with European Christianity and also with the Christ. But they never show you this. I can't use the word Jesus because that's Greek. But I would have to use the African Hebrew word, and that's Yeshua, that you see right here. But the emphasis I want to put on the fact that this is carved in stone, brothers and sisters, thousands of years ago, that ends up in Western European Christianity today. But here's the black man that they never show you, that Leonardo da Vinci copied it directly from African people, that it was thousands of years before Leonardo da Vinci. You see it on the temples of Africa.
Can't be any clearer than that.
This is one of the sculptures of Europeans of Jesus as a good shepherd with the lamb around his head. But when I went to England, to the museum, the brother saw me with all the equipment, and he said, "Brother, what are you all about?" I said, "I'm here to document our story. You got anything in here?" He said, "I'll help you out." He took me in the back room where the tourists don't go. And you know what he showed me? Where they copied it from right here. Wow. Yes, brothers and sisters, huh? It's time for the liberation of your mind now.
Copied it.
This is what they got locked up in the museum in England right now today, showing the true African Jesus right here, where the Europeans copied from this one to make their version of it right here. Even Reverend Barshango said that Jesus was from the tribe of the Black Panthers. I noticed that there was a Black Panther down by his legs. Huh? Well, I like how y'all did that lean at the same time. Your ancestors produced the first African god who gave forth of a virgin birth.
See this?
The first goddess who gave forth an immaculate conception.
This is where they got the concept of the Virgin Mary and the baby Jesus.
Reverence for the Egyptian goddess Isis and her son Horus, shown at your right, an Egyptian statue of the Ptolemaic period, was easily converted to the veneration of Mary and Jesus, the fourth monastery. They said it was easily converted. So let's see how easy it was converted. Dr. John G. Jackson, in his book, Christianity Before Christ, tells us, and even Church Ward tells us. Now, let's look at Horus. Horus had two mothers, Isis, the virgin who conceived him, Nefertiti, who nursed him. He was brought forth singly as one of the five brothers. Let's look at the life of Jesus. Jesus had two mothers, Mary, the virgin who conceived him, and Mary, the wife of Cleophas, who brought him forth as one of her children. Horus was the son of Seth, his father on earth. Jesus was the son of Joseph, his father on earth. Horus was with his mother, the virgin, until 12 years old, when he was transformed into the beloved Son, the God as the only begotten of the Father in heaven. Jesus remained with the mother, the virgin, up until the age of 12, when he left her to be about his Father's business. From 12 to 30 years of age, there is no record in the life of Horus. From 12 to 30 years of age, there is no record in the life of Jesus. And Horus at 30 years of age became an adult in his baptism by Nuke. Jesus at 30 years of age was made a man in his baptism by John the Baptist. Horus in his baptism made his transformation into the beloved Son, the only begotten of the Father, the Holy Spirit represented by a bird. Jesus in his baptism is hailed from heaven as the beloved Son and the only begotten of the Father, the God, the Holy Spirit, that is represented by a dove. That's why they tell you right here, it was easily converted to veneration to the Mary and Jesus. This is your goddess Aset.
Okay, I need you to forgive me because I'm editing this in again because I'm trying to get this right. But in John 9, where Jesus he saw a blind man from birth, and he healed the blind man, and he says after saying this, he spat on the ground, made some mud with his saliva, and put it on the man's eyes. Go, he told him, wash them in the pool, and he was healed. But that's not what it's talking about. It's talking about this third eye that you're getting ready to see. It's talking about giving you vision in your third eye. Misleading. It's not historical. The historical one is the eye of Horus. And the sight that is being restored or stored, especially in a man that was born blind, is the third eye, not the visual eye that you see with your two eyes. This is talking about the third eye, your spiritual eye, so that you can see heaven, so that you can see God, so that you can go within yourself. Okay, you're being taught wrong. Okay, so this is the original, this is the fake, and it's bullshit. Okay, didn't nobody spit on the ground, make mud, and put it on somebody's eyes, and that healed them. Okay, but that's that blind faith that they teach us to have. You know, you got to trust and believe. No, you need to use some common sense. And I'm showing you that this was stolen from the Egyptian mythology, and it wasn't about making somebody be able to see visually. It's about opening your eyes spiritually so that you can see the things that your two eyes miss. Okay, this is mythology, but when you look at it and you do it right and you understand it, it makes sense. You can apply it. I know I was blind as long as I was trusting my two visual eyes. I couldn't see because the things your two visual eyes show you, most of it, 90% of it is not real. It's not true. So I wanted to edit this in. The sight that you want to be able to get is the one that the third eye gives you, the one that your two eyes can't see. Okay, and because we choose to believe rather than seek knowledge, wisdom, so that we can say we know, this is the kind of stuff that believing has us doing. And there's nothing about this that is spiritual. This is a possession. Okay, well, I guess being possessed is spiritual. Okay, negatively, but this is what they have us doing. Okay, passing out. It's called an egregore. When you get enough people together in the same place, the same room, on the same frequency, whether it's a high frequency or a low frequency, and one of them starts shouting like it being at a baseball game or a football game or a basketball game. When one starts cheering and roaring, they all start cheering and roaring. Well, it's the same thing in church. Except in church, you know, when they go to passing out, they have a catcher behind them. They make sure they're not dropping face first down on the floor or face backwards down on the floor. It's a show. Okay? So I don't want to believe. I'm out of the believing business. This channel is trying to get people out of the believing business by using objective evidence to show you should have never been in a believing business. This video here is the Dark Ages when blacks ruled Europe. In my previous videos, I mentioned that blacks, we are the children of the sun. And that when in Africa, this is where the beginning started. It started around the equator, okay? And then we migrated up into Europe and all over the world. So this video shows and proves that blacks ruled Europe, okay? Now, this video is 35 minutes long. There are several versions out there that are not this long. So I'm gonna skip through a couple of parts of the early of this and go toward the end, because even the shorter videos of this show this part. But I'm gonna play a little bit of this and then I'm gonna take you down to the end.
Chocolate, they were hired to paint over the images. Why their fingertips black but their skin is white? Because they had iconoclasts, 1453, paint over these images.
You see, this is him talking about how they painted over the images to make the African images to make them appear white. And if you go to, I think it's First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 48, it tells you. So if you go to the first book of Maccabees, chapter 3, verse 48, it says, and laid open the book of law. What is the book of law? The Bible. Well, what we call a Bible. But at this time, during the Maccabees, the book of law were the holy African texts, okay, that they stole these things from. So they said, the Maccabees say they, and laid open the book of law, wherein the heathens, who are the heathens? The Greek, the Romans, the ones that were stealing everything, the one that were trying to convert everybody into their belief system. The heathens had sought to paint the likeness of their images, okay? And that's exactly what this is showing you. Okay, listen to him. He says that they painted over the images, making images of themselves, the blackness of the images. But what he's saying is they didn't paint the tips of the fingers white, and they left the tips of the fingers around their fingernails black. That's what it's saying. Okay.
When I went to the Louvre in Paris, a lot of the biblical images throughout the museum, white. Then there was a back room. And when I went inside that room, I seen a lot of dark-skinned images. I seen icons. Look. And I was like, Dad, they got all these images in the back room.
They didn't pan over them yet.
In the open area, when you're walking through, you see all these images, Caucasian men, famous Caucasian men, you would think. But in the back room, smaller area, you see images that, what I'm showing you, dark images, all right? So, wait, where's the book, The Icon? Right when you finish, pass it back up. There's something I want to read. I'm not going to be able to go through every page. Now I'm going to show you Queen Elizabeth. 5 minutes. No problem. Queen Elizabeth.
Okay, I skipped through this down to where this version is hard to find, and it's being narrated by some of the most experienced authoritarians in this field. So I'm gonna play some of this, and these are some of the guys that they mentor a lot of Black people that want to learn, that want to know. So listen.
The term Moor started to become interchangeable with the term Black because it was basically the same thing. But when the slave trade started, they tried to objectify Black people, Moorish people. So they would use the term interchangeably and they would just switch on to calling people Black. But if you look at a lot of old documents, there's even slave ships called Blackamoor, if you look at slave records. There was even a boxer out of Virginia who was very popular in the early 1800s named Tom Molyneux, and his nickname was the Moor. So that name was definitely used interchangeably with Black or Negro at that time.
Moor means black. Like negro.
This is Kaba Khamenei.
Moor means black. Moor is not a people. Moor is a color. And they have taken this word Moor and they have associated Moor with Muslim. There were Moors that weren't Muslim.
These guys that I'm showing you now, this is why I skipped to the last part of the video. Nobody can dispute these guys. Nobody can challenge these guys. These guys know their stuff and they are teaching and educating. Kaba Khamenei, his birth name was Booker T. He's an educator. He's educated on every level, from first grade all the way up to the PhD level. So these guys, nobody challenges them. Okay, so I don't want you to think that I'm just showing you somebody that I found that's saying what I want to hear. How this really happened is when I started doing my research, these guys qualified everything that I found. So just check them out.
Moor means black. There were Christian Moors. There were Moors that practiced a traditional African faith system. So that Moor means black, simple.
When the Moors went into Europe, they changed the appearance of the population. Do you see? So you have Italians, Spaniards being darker than the Scandinavians. A Scandinavian person told me that they never considered the Italians or Jewish people to be white. Do you see? Because the lighter people are further north.
When I went to Europe, I would always look at pictures and I would always see a Moor, and sometimes I would see like a skull and bones. And many of the Moors would have a skull and bones flag. That's what pirates are known for. There were many Moorish pirates. There was even a Barbary War where the U.S. was fighting Moorish pirates up in North Africa in the Barbary Coast. And there's even a secret organization called the Skull and Bones. And we know that Masonry comes from Moorish science. So there's always a connection there with the Moors.
And it's important that as we begin to develop an understanding of this society, that it's not Freemason as we know it, and that the Moors brought in this knowledge into Europe. Africans brought this knowledge into Europe. And in bringing this knowledge into Europe, the Knights Templars and other organizations were born out of this. And peoples of European descent were exposed to alchemy, okay? The periodic table of elements, the laboratory, how to take information, how to take elements and atoms, and to begin to manipulate them to make them into different types of molecules. The basic one is hydrogen, 2 hydrogen is helium.
Isn't that what they're doing today? They're trying to alter nature by altering our chemical. You remember I did the video just previously on how they have messenger RNA now that they can change the genetics and cellular structure. That's what he's talking about.
Hydrogen is lithium, 6 is carbon, 8 is oxygen. So you have this alchemy that's going to come, and they're going to begin to study, they're going to begin to learn, they're going to create societies that's going to develop an understanding. This is going to be what eventually is going to become Freemasonry, because only a select group of people in Europe is going to be exposed to this information.
Because the secret of Masonry, of who we really are, the Moors, is being here on this land, this particular land. Because it was called, in many names, you had Turtle Island, that we called it, or Tula, or El Morak, the different terms that we had. And the original map of America was written by a guy named Idrisi. The original map was written in Sanskrit.
Antarctica was actually mapped by a Moor. And most people don't know it was mapped by a Moor. And they have old topographical evidence of old maps of Antarctica. That's why the Nazis fled there, because they knew that there were places there under the ice that they could actually inhabit and hide.
Okay, so we wanna know. I want to know what they don't want me to know. Okay, I don't want you to educate me and tell me that
Remember,
now
when
I
they
know.
attacked Africa, they did not attack Africa physically. They did not attack Africa educationally. They attacked Africa spiritually. Jomo Kenyatta said when the European first came to Africa, the Africans had the land and the white man had the Bible. White man told him to close his eyes, get on his knees and pray. Jomo said when the black man opened his eyes, the white man had the land and the black man had the Bible. We have bought into a story that we told them. They have twisted it. They got it twisted. We have now bought that story back.
What we call the African and the communities that that person lived in is where the concept of religion comes from. Europe never produced a religion, ever. Asia receives its religion from Africa. All of them. Buddhism, Hinduism, Shinto. As a matter of fact, to be more scholarly, starts with Hinduism. The first Hindu gods to come across were black Africans. And they came across, they were called Sambo, which is now a derogatory term used for blacks, mulattoes, etc. Sambo.
Jesus is a name which did not come into existence in the English form until the 1600s. The letter J was not invented until the 1600s. Let me say this again. Now, the letter J was not invented until the 1600s.
It's Dr. Anthony Broder.
So the reality is,
Great man.
Jesus
He's from
is
Washington,
not
D.C.
the
here.
name of that person. His name is an Amharic name, Yeshua. 1482.
Dr. James Broder, he does excavations in Egypt. He has one going now. So these are people that hands-on. These aren't people that are just, these guys spend a lot of time in Africa, a lot of time in Egypt. They're looking up all the way down to trace this back to be able to say, hey, they stole our story, gave it back to us, and enslaved us with it, oppressed us with it, hung us, did all the kind of things with us. Okay, so they know what they're talking about. They're not challenged.
Leonardo da Vinci was commissioned to paint a painting of Christ and the 12 disciples. This was 1482, 10 years before Columbus set sail, because that painting would be the greatest weapon used in colonialism, and still is right now, because many black people around the world still have that original Last Supper. And so when Leonardo was asked to paint that picture, he got his uncle to actually sit in, and this is an historic record. He got his uncle to sit in and pose as Christ, and he got 12 criminals from a local jail who happened to be available to sit in as the 12 disciples.
The only reason you call God by that name is because your former enslaver, your former oppressor, taught you that name. He never taught you the real name. He never gave you the keys to the power to free yourself spiritually, so that you are now spiritually or religiously still a slave.
The African population in North America is the third largest black population in the world in any geopolitical state. Why don't we have a single word out of one of our language for God that we use?
This is Professor James Smalls. You're not going to find people that know more than these guys. Nobody challenges them.
Their word for God. The Jews use their word for God. The Catholics use their word for God. The Japanese use their word for God. The African is the only population that don't have an African word for God. Yet, studies coming out of Geneva over the last 30 years prove that we are the most spiritual people in America, in the world, not just America. We worship with a greater propensity than any other people in the world, but we don't have a single word in our language for our divine.
The word Christ is a title. It's not a name. Christ means the anointed one. And there were many people before the birth of Jesus who also bore that title, Christ. There were 16 people who were known as Christ. So Jesus was the last of saviors of mankind, saviors of a group of people who were known as Christ. When you talk about the image of Christ, it is important that we no longer ascribe to the European image of Christ. Why? Because the brain is a associating organism. It stores everything as pictures. And because it is associating, if you force feed an African child that Christ is white, because the brain associates, as that child begins to grow, the brain will associate white Christ with white people. And so if white Jesus is God, then white people must also be the gods of humanity. And so guess what? The power in the painting is transferred to the people who resemble that painting. And so it is difficult to pray to a white Jesus and not in some way feel inferior to white people. And that's why when I talk to Christian ministers, I often tell them you have to change these pictures. They say it don't matter. Of course it matters. Why do you think the European went around the world and systematically altered the image of Christ in every major cathedral, every major church, every corner of the globe? Because it is difficult to oppress a people whose image of the God doesn't look like the oppressor. But when God and the oppressor look one in the same, then the people will come to believe that the oppression was ordained by God.
Okay.
William Shakespeare actually look like? We may have the answer in a picture worth a lot more than 1,000 words. Richard Roth has the story from London.
It was at Britain's National Portrait Gallery 3 years ago that an art restorer named Cobb noticed a Shakespeare portrait resembled a painting in his own family's art collection.
Look at here.
Today, some Shakespeare scholars here claim the Cobb painting's actually the real thing, the only known lifetime of the world's most famous playwright.
Okay, I'm gonna pause for a second to see if there's anything else in here I want you to see, because I don't want you to just watch anything. Okay, we're gonna finish this up with this little piece here. is objective evidence. Okay? All of this is objective evidence of they erased us. Okay? They erased us and painted over our images, as in Maccabees 1, to create images of themselves. Then they took this book that they created, along with these images, and they enslaved us with it. They oppressed us with it. They raped us. They justified all of their racist behavior based on these lies. Okay? I'm gonna stop this part of the video because you can come back and watch this. Okay? You can come back and watch this, and I'm gonna finish this up with a couple things. Okay? They created all of this doctrine and dogma, made it up. They copied it from our African mythologies, and they created this and went around the world, colonized the world with our documents. Who did they colonize? They didn't colonize. See, I no longer say, you enslaved my ancestors, you hung my ancestors, you whipped my ancestors. I say you did those things to me, because we are the total accumulation and absolute collection of all of the ancestors that came before us. So what was done to them was done, it was done to us too. But what they did was, in 1883, when they held the Berlin Conference, and I've said many times, they carved Africa up like a pizza. Well, there's your pizza. Okay? This is what they did at the Berlin Conference. They said British would get everything here. They said France would get everything in red. The Spanish would get the purple. The Portuguese get the yellow. Germany gets the green. Italian gets the orange. They divided Africa up like they were serving a Domino's or a Pizza Hut pizza. Okay? All based on this book. And today, black people, man, they don't want to hear it. Today, man, black people just don't want to hear it. They just, here's what a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus would do for you. 400 years ago, they were beating me. My ancestors, who is me, who are me. To tell them Jesus love you, they were beating them with a whip saying, say it. And today, 300, 400 years later, you just can't get enough of it. You're in church shouting and passing out and giving all your money, expecting a blessing and a miracle outside of you. The whole time that you're doing that, you're missing the blessing and the miracle that you could be experiencing and enjoying inside of you. So I wanted to show you these things and relate it to what we're going through now, because as long as we're doing what we've been doing, see, one of the signs of insanity and loss of touch with reality is doing the same thing over, expecting different results. You can't do that. That's what we've been doing. We've been following these traditions, customs on from one generation to the other. And that's the biggest generational curse that we've ever experienced. But I refuse to pass it on to my children and my descendants. Everybody has to make a choice. Would you rather believe and have trust that all you have to do is believe? Who convinced you that? Who convinced you that all your Creator wants you to do is believe? And I had a friend that asked me, well, Ray, who convinced you that your God wants you to know? That's one of the sickest things I've ever heard. So this is where we are now. On the time scale or timeline, we're no longer in Pisces. We're in Aquarius now. Okay, the age of Pisces, if you look it up, look up what is the definition of the age of Pisces. It tells you the age of trickery, deception, and guile. I mean, they're gonna lie to you. That's what the age of Pisces is. You look at the age of Aquarius, it's the age of technology, advancement, positive thinking. This is the age of the people that are gonna be the thinkers. Okay, so this age is over. I don't care how much you loved it. I don't care how much you wanted it. Jesus told his disciples, go into the next town, and he's talking about astrology. Go into the next town, and you'll see a man will come to you carrying a jug of water. Follow him into his house. It's into the house of Aquarius. Okay, and that's where we are. So for the next couple of 100 years, it's going to be a transition period from coming out of these old ways into the new ways. Okay, and I've just shown you, they already have the new world headquarters opened for business. They have a mosque, they have a synagogue, and they have a church, all right there together. This is a business. So for the next 2,160 years, this will be the new government, this will be the new world order and the new world religion. And 2,160 years later, when Capricorn comes in, they're going to have a new one. Okay? Remember, we are children of the sun. One of my previous videos was the kiss of Ra. What is the kiss of Ra? Ra is the sun god. And the kiss of Ra has an effect, a positive effect on everything that God created. And when the sun shines on the grass grows. When the sun shines on the flowers grow. When the sun shines on the trees, the trees grow. Everything is affected and has a relationship with the sun as long as you have melanin. If you don't have melanin, you're kind of in trouble. Okay? But the one thing that I'm trying to bring your attention to here now is that we, children of the sun, have been pulled out of our circadian rhythm with the sun. The circadian rhythm is when we are in alignment, in tune with the rising and the setting of the sun. Our eating should be in relationship with the sun. You know, we really shouldn't be eating at night. But you know, I was horrible because, you know, when I worked, I had to work. Man, I worked 33 hours straight. Okay, so there's only 24 hours in a day, so I can't say I worked 33 hours in a day because it's only 24. I was averaging 100 hours a week. So I was out of the circadian rhythm. I was eating out of rhythm. I was sleeping out of rhythm. And, you know, for this week is the first week that my body has started to readjust to the circadian rhythm. This week, every night I've been falling asleep and waking up in the morning. That's why I've been saying grand rising. And on my videos, that's why I've been saying welcome back, because I'm waking up in the morning rather than up all night. I'm eating in the rhythm with the sun, and it's making a difference. So you wanna look into the circadian rhythm. That's one of the things that help you if you're having, okay, here, the circadian rhythm, it has sleep disorders. The circadian rhythm causes digestive problems, okay? So that's one of the things that we need to stay in rhythm with. And a lot of the Africans, they are still in sync with the circadian rhythm because a large percent, I was just talking with a brother yesterday. I forgot exactly which part of Africa he's from, but he said that they are just getting reliable electricity, where the electricity is on 24 hours a day. He said the last time he went home, the power never shut off. He said usually it's on 6 hours, it's off 6 hours. Well, it's on 12 hours, it's off 12 hours. Okay, but the majority of Africans do not have electricity. That alone keeps them in sync with the circadian rhythm. Okay, because if the sun comes up, they get up. Because everything that they need to get done, they have to get it done during the day when the sun. They eat with the sun, they sleep with the moon. Okay, so these are rhythms. Okay, one thing I want to show you is copycats. You know, they're easy to spot. Okay, they're easy to spot. Now, the whole time that they're trying to convince us we need to be like them is because they want to be us, not like us. They want to be us. So when you look at our African statues and things, look at how the British dress for their court, just like us. Okay, they take these little rags and these little wigs and put them on their head. Where did they get it from? They got it from us. Okay, so jealousy, man, when you have jealousy and envy to the point that you will destroy people. And when you, now keep in mind, okay, when you have gone around the world and treated the indigenous people of every land that you've set foot on, because you are not indigenous to these people. They're not indigenous to any land. They're the ones that want to go around the world telling everybody, go back where you came from. That if that became a law, that everybody had to just say, okay, we're going to go back to where we came from. They don't have any indigenous land. They're not the first people on any land. Okay? And to be honest with you, if there were a law that everyone had to go back where they came from, everybody but Africans would have to leave this planet. We're the Sun people. Everybody came from us. In order for that to happen, we had to be the first on wherever you call home. It's just a fact. So when we look at, this is on the card. See, this is hieroglyphics. You see all of the signs and symbols here? When you look at this, this is on the Egyptian walls carved in stone. When you look over here, this is a brain that's been dissected and cut in half. Okay, so when you look at this, this is the African hieroglyphics carved in stone. Here is a brain that's been dissected in half, separated in the right hemisphere from the left hemisphere. This is your pineal gland. This is what our ancestors knew about the pineal gland. They knew how it looked. This looks identical to that. How could we have known this 5,000 years ago unless we were doing brain surgery? And we were. Okay, we were. Okay, I'm just showing you that our ancestors left us detailed clues on how to deal with this, how intelligent we were. And what they really had to do was they had to dummy us down. They had to dummy down our brilliance and intelligence to below their understanding. One of the reasons that we're in so much trouble is when the Europeans saw our African hieroglyphics, read our Egyptian text and these kind of things, they didn't understand it. They did not understand or comprehend what we were doing, which was teaching mythology. They thought it was real, and they created their own version of it, saying that it's real. So that's where we got in trouble. Let's get out of it. Let's get out of the believing game, get into the knowing game, knowing business. And I'm going to end this video, but go back and educate your children and your families. All right, Ashe? Everybody have a great day. If nobody's told you they love you, I do. Make sure you tell someone you love them too, and mean it.